How we got to this point needs a closer look. We're in Glendale, Arizona on January 16th, 2016, where the Packers and Cardinals are tied at 20 in overtime. The winner moves on to the NFC Championship. And the loser, well, their season and so much of what has happened here tonight will be eclipsed. Arizona is just 5 yards away from ending the game. But the Packers have already proven they don't need much for a miracle. For everything that has made this matchup and this moment spectacular, we need to rewind. While Arizona has a couple of chances to score, historically this isn't exactly a team that's known for putting these games away, especially when you're talking about their quarterback. Carson Palmer came into the league in 2003, but with this being his 13th season, he still doesn't have a playoff win to his name. Part of that's due to spending the first 8 years under Marvin Lewis in Cincy, but even once Palmer came to Arizona after a couple of seasons in Oakland, the tune didn't change. His first season as a Cardinal was mixed, as Palmer posted career highs in yardage, which is good, and interceptions, which is bad. And while he led Arizona to a 10-6 record, they fell short of the playoffs. But Palmer was just one new piece in an organization looking to do better. Along with the quarterback came first-year head coach Bruce Arians, fresh off a Coach of the Year campaign after he filled in for Chuck Pagano. The offense still had a way to go, but under Arians, the Cardinals jumped from 31st in scoring to 16th in just 1 year. That was a nice boost for their defense that was also on the rise. Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu headlined a stout secondary that often didn't have much to do thanks to the Calais Campbell-led front bearing down on opposing quarterbacks. Despite missing the playoffs, Arizona was quickly on the rise. But year 2 of the new-look Cardinals was again a mixed bag. Palmer was undefeated as a starter, but only managed to play in 6 games due to a shoulder injury and then a re-torn ACL. Larry Fitzgerald, the ever-reliable leader of this team, did his best to prop up Drew Stanton and Ryan Lindley. Along with the continued growth of the defense, they actually improved on their record and earned a wildcard spot. But once in the postseason, they did their part in what some highly respected experts consider the worst NFL playoff game ever played. The Cardinals were still seeking their first playoff victory since the 2009 season, when they happened to beat the Packers in overtime, needing just 3 plays before a defensive touchdown ended it. The loss was a tough end to a tough season, but Arizona had assembled a core that just needed consistent quarterback play to take the next step. Fortunately for them, despite the knee injury, Palmer was ready to go. Hopes were high for this team, or at least people were aware that this was the best chance they might have for some time. Once the 2015 season got underway, everything actually fell into place for the Cardinals. Palmer had the best season of his career, which let Fitzgerald look like his old self. He also got some help in the form of John Brown, who delivered a 1,000-yard campaign. The running game got on track thanks to Chris Johnson, who was on pace for his best season since 2012. And even though he went down in November, third-round rookie David Johnson stepped up and helped Arizona lock up the NFC's number 2 seed, earning the franchise's first ever playoff bye week. It was extra fortunate rest for a team full of veterans, plus a secondary that was looking to replace Mathieu, who had gone down in week 15. And while tonight hasn't always been pretty, this team that won 13 games for the first time in franchise history is now 5 yards away from making their first NFC Championship since the 2008 season. All that's in their way is a team that's been here again and again and again and again. Ahead of this year, unsurprisingly, Green Bay was being talked about as a favorite to win it all. They had come close a season earlier, but squandered a lead in the NFC Championship and lost to the Seahawks in overtime. But Aaron Rodgers was the defending league MVP, leading a team that had won the NFC North 4 straight years. There was good reason to believe they'd get back to competing for the Lombardi Trophy. Those hopes took a hit in the preseason when Jordy Nelson tore his ACL against the Steelers. Over the previous few seasons, he had turned into Rodgers' favorite target. But if anyone could clear that hurdle, it was this guy. He kicked off the 2015 season with 6 straight wins, proving the Packers were still more than just a threat. Although they stumbled out of their bye, Week 13 captured what this team was capable of. Green Bay found themselves down 20-0 against the Lions late in the third, but one touchdown led to a Julius Peppers strip sack, which led to a quick second score from Rodgers to Davante Adams. A Detroit field goal put it back to a 2-score deficit, but Rodgers erased part of that on a 17-yard scamper. Green Bay's defense managed to force a punt, and the Packers had 23 seconds to find a miracle. The first miraculous moment came from a questionable face mask penalty as Rodgers tried to slip away, giving Green Bay an untimed down. They found themselves still over 60 yards from the end zone, though. Instead of a long field goal for the win, Rodgers stayed out there. And when the Lions only brought 3, he was able to find some room to his right where he could fire off a clean Hail Mary. Richard Rodgers leapt into a mass of bodies and came down with the victory.
In the end zone, it is caught for the win!
While they had done enough to bail out the Packers, Mike McCarthy had seen enough from the offense to strip play-calling duties from their offensive coordinator after the game, and they started to get back on track, winning comfortably against the quarterbackless Cowboys, then got past the Raiders in Week 15 to lock up a playoff spot. But with the NFC North still up for grabs, Green Bay began to put it in reverse. They got their first taste of Arizona in Week 16, and it led to what was arguably the worst game of Rodgers' career. It wasn't entirely his fault considering the Cardinals sacked him 8 times, but it was a beating that carried into the following week when they fell to the Vikings, losing the division in the process. And yet, they're here. They've reached the divisional round, and they're the reason that we're in overtime at all. Or Rodgers is the reason. Especially compared to the first time these teams played, tonight has been extremely close. The Cardinals opened the scoring, then each team traded 13-point runs. It set up an ending that made way too much sense for this Packers team. Down 7 with under 2 minutes to play, Green Bay got the ball back and had 86 yards to go in order to tie it up. That quickly became 96 yards thanks to a Dwight Freeney sack. By 4th down, nothing had changed. It didn't even matter that they had less than a minute to work with. The bigger issue was needing 20 yards on one play. Rodgers dropped back, spun out to the left to avoid pressure, and from his goal line, threw up a perfect pass that found the previously unknown Jeff Janis inside the Arizona 40. So when Nelson went down in the preseason, the Packers needed other guys to step up and fill the void. Janis had not been one of those guys. Entering the divisional round, he had 4 catches in his career for 95 yards. Primarily used on special teams, Janis was called on in the clutch and had given Green Bay new life. And once they were down to a new last chance, Rodgers again looked Janis's way. With 5 seconds left and the Cardinals bringing pressure, Rodgers for a second time slipped out to his left and heaved it towards the end zone. Janis waited to make his break until he saw where the ball was heading, and once he tracked it, leapt into a pair of Cardinals and came down for a touchdown. Janis's career day saved the Packers, and the teams headed to overtime. All of that wasn't too long ago, but just 1 minute into OT, the Cardinals have gotten into this spot thanks to a wide receiver of their own, albeit one slightly more accomplished than Janis. Larry Fitzgerald. He was seemingly on a mission to prove he was still a top threat in the league. The career Cardinal had put the team on his back plenty of times, most notably being his 4-game stretch in the 2008 playoffs. One of the greatest postseason performances ever by a wide receiver. But it hadn't been enough to win the Super Bowl, and Fitzgerald hadn't gotten many more chances since. In Arizona's following 3 playoff games, he failed to crack 100 yards receiving. But as was the case in 2014, he could only do so much without a quarterback. This past season with a healthy Palmer, Fitzgerald once again erupted. He had the first regular season 3-touchdown performance of his career in Week 2, then followed that up with another gaudy stat line against the 49ers. In Week 13, he became the youngest player in NFL history to reach the 1,000 catch milestone, and for the first time since 2011, went over 1,000 yards in a season. But at the start of tonight, Fitzgerald struggled to recapture the playoff magic. He finished the first half with just 6 yards on a single catch, and unsurprisingly, the offense couldn't get too much going. Looking to fix that, Arizona knew Fitz needed more than just a pair of targets and a half. With Palmer looking his way, Fitzgerald started rolling. As their connection heated back up, it also helped free Michael Floyd for his second touchdown of the game. Once he got to overtime though, Fitzgerald wasn't sharing the spotlight. Arizona got the ball to start, and after Rodgers' Hail Mary had swung momentum in Green Bay's direction, the Canton-bound wide receiver stole it right back. On the very first snap in OT, Palmer managed to escape a Packer swarm, then threw across his body to Fitzgerald, who somehow had found himself without a defender in sight. He came down with the ball and started up the sideline with Clay Matthews in pursuit. He split defenders, warded off another, and sprinted his way down to the 5. 7 catches, 171 yards. And after a first and goal incompletion once again to Fitzgerald, we find ourselves here. Second and goal with the chance to go to the NFC Championship on the line. It's been a game filled by spectacular plays by each side. The last 3 completions combined for 176 yards. For Green Bay, it's been par for course in a season that easily could have slipped away had it not been for Rodgers and company finding more miracles than some franchises have in their history. Their defense looks to find one of their own, or at the very least force a field goal and give the offense a chance to do what they do best. As for the Cardinals, they can cap off their remarkable season right here. Their quarterback looking for the first postseason win in his long career, a head coach looking for the same, and Fitzgerald doing what he can to not let his heroics go to waste. Okay, here in overtime, second and goal. Welcome to a moment in history.
Brown is the motion man. Little flip to Fitzgerald, he scores! And the Cardinals win an amazing game.
Is it just me, or did it sound like Al Michaels had money on the Packers? Regardless, I hope you liked this episode of Rewinder, and if not, I guarantee you that there's one from this season that you will. Or check out this other video, subscribe to SB Nation, and hit the bell for notifications.